The army is already summoned. In fact, the army is already marching. We will go and join them, and we'll take the ball ourselves. Already, Dara MacFigna's scouts had picked up on this. They instantly went to Concobar Mac Nisa, and he summoned together the greatest of all the warriors, the branch of the Red Knights. And the Red Knights gathered together, for they were the most trained, they were the most daring, they were absolutely, astoundingly skilled in all ways as warriors. And they gathered the army together, and instantly Maev's army came down the hill, already drunk with mead in order to give them courage. And Concobar Mac Nisa's army were as sober as any man or woman could be. And they hit each other, shield against shield, shield against shield, order shield against order shield. And they fought, and they fought, and Maev's army started to fall back. Maev's army started to be pulled back, when a single black crow flew over the battlefield. And just as it did so, all of Concobar Mac Nisa's army, the Red Branch, the Red Knights themselves, simply fell back. They stopped fighting. They were tired. They didn't even know why they were there. A curse had been put over the army, and they went back to the High King's palace and had a good old sleep. Maeve was delighted. She started to ravage the land. She started to set fire to villages. She started to do whatever she could do. Harm cattle, take out crops. She did whatever she could until finally she came to a ford. This ford marked the centre of Tara, the capital of Ulster. If she went over this ford unchallenged, she was in the High King's land and she would finish the job off. Was it defended? At first they thought it was undefended, but then they saw one young man with black hair. His features you would barely remember. He had no description, no perceivable description at all. He was just an average man. But strong indeed he was. He lifted a sapling down, and he turned it into a withy with a single pull of his arm, just like how you see Andy do at the beginning of the course. But with such strength, the whole oak sapling turned into a withy, and then he imprinted it in Owen. Farish MacRoy went forward to read the Owen, for he was a scholarly man himself, and only the scholars could read and understand Owen. And he said to Maeve, "This young man, merely a boy, challenges all of the warriors of our army to single combat, and only then can we cross the ford." Maeve laughed, in glee indeed again. And she said, "Oh, send some of the untrained warriors." And so she did. The untrained warriors came forth, but Cuchulain, he took them out with one swoosh of his sword. Warrior after warrior came under his sword, and always Cuchulain won. She said, "Right, send my champion to him." Her champion was a huge, gigantic man with a broad back, barrel-chested, bulging biceps, a terrifying man. A man who went into berserker fits the minute that he fought. But he refused. "I will not fight a mere boy. He hasn't even got a beard. Young whelp isn't going to stand in my way. You deal with it." No one would dare call him a coward, for he was the Queen's champion. And so she sent his brother instead, and Cuchulain fought his brother. It took a few more swishes of the sword. It took a few more cuts and parries and ducking and diving, but soon he won. And that was the end of the Queen's champion's brother. And he was a bit distraught. He was upset indeed, but he still refused to fight. And the young women of Tara, teased Cuchulain. "None of the great warriors will fight you. You're not old enough." They teased him and they teased him. And then they rubbed blackberry juice, blueberry juice, raspberry juice, but particularly blueberry juice all over his face. And then they put straw upon his face. And then they started to work magic, and before you knew it, he had a bristling full beard upon us, as if he hadn't shaved for many a long moon time. And then he went to face the warrior. And this time the warrior agreed to the fight. And so he went forth, the champion, this huge bristling warrior, this warrior who instantly went into a berserker fit, dived at Cuchulain, but Cuchulain managed to parry the blow. He cut low, he cut high, he jumped low, he ducked, he dived, he moved with terrific speed. And a crow flew over the sky.